I've now created a new invoice in the Customers module by clicking the New Invoice button. And I'll now navigate to that invoice by clicking the small square button to the left of the invoice record. The first data entry that should be done to an invoice is to choose the invoice type. All new records in the Sales module default to the type of an invoice of just a standard invoice. You could also hold quotes, credit memos, return credit memos, and debit memos. So for instance, if I change the status of this record in the Invoices module to quote, then you'd do all the same basic data entry. You'd add line items that would go on the invoice, and you'd add quantities and prices. And this just could be held for the customer as a quote. And then if you navigate back to the Customers module and you take a look at their list of invoices, you see this record we had just created. The type is a quote. The main difference between a quote and an invoice is that all the line items, the quantities entered onto those line items, do not pull from inventory until the quote is set to an invoice. For the invoice type. And then a few other invoice types are credit memos, return credit memos, and debit memos. A credit memo and a return credit memo are different in that a credit memo also does not pull from inventory for the quantities entered on the line items, but a return credit memo does, because you're going to be adding these items back into inventory because they're going to be physically returned to your company. And then a debit memo is just to charge a customer more money for products that were sold on an invoice. And this also will not pull from inventory and adjust inventory levels the same as a credit memo. And then another important field in the data entry for a record in the Invoices database is the invoice status. When you create a new invoice, the status is always set to new. When the status is set to new, it keeps the record hidden from other invoices that are in process. So the data entry person can do data entry, and then once they're finished doing all their data entry, they can set the status to pending shipment. So that means all the data entry is ready to go on this invoice, and then what happens is your shipping department can run reports, either clicking the pending shipment button down on the list view to filter the list at the bottom of the screen, or they could run a quick report for all records that are pending shipment. And then after an order has been shipped, the shipping department would just set the status to order shipped, and then the accounting department can run a report for all records that the order has been shipped by filtering the records in the list on the list view, or running a quick report for records that the status is order shipped. And then what would happen is the accounting department then would print the invoice by clicking the Send Invoice button, and then after they print the invoice, it automatically sets the status to sent. And then next, if you're integrating the Sales module with an accounting package, you could run the SQL insert that will insert this invoice data and all of the line items into your accounting package, which may be Great Plains Accounting or QuickBooks. And then after you run the insert, the status of the invoice would then automatically be set to posted. And then once a record has been posted, it's no longer modifiable except by a person with a admin level password. So the record is basically locked to basic data entry users.